Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310-UCLA-WIN.
Good afternoon. We are doing it live, doing more at 4 weekday afternoons right here in 790 KBC, right after Guy Benson, and just before the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang at 5. You got Mottek On Money here, live on the air right now, 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com, and the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast, kbc.com, Apple iTunes, YouTube, all your favorite podcast platforms. Stocks edging mostly higher today, another mixed finish for the market, with the U.S.-China trade tensions remaining in focus and the aftermath of the peace deal between Israel and Hamas also in focus. Also hopes for interest rate cuts big this week, and earnings news coming in from the Wall Street banks. The Dow coming in for a closing loss today of 17 points after holding up pretty well this week, down 17 to 46,253. The S&P 500 up 27 at 6,671, and the NASDAQ up 148 points at 22,670. The stronger start to the session followed a solid start to the earnings season. We also are watching the U.S.-China trade friction, and the U.S. government shutdown continues with no end in sight. We're set to talk more about that with Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Today is October 15th. Also happens to be the tax deadline for those who are getting an extension on filing from the usual April 15th deadline. So a lot to talk about with Grover Norquist coming up later this hour. First thing this morning, Bank of America, B of A, posting a 23% jump in profit. Banks are on a roll. Becoming the latest big bank here, B of A to benefit from the big deals on Wall Street. Morgan Stanley also seeing its profits surge 45% in the latest quarter in what the company's CEO has hailed as an outstanding quarter, up 45% profits. We also heard from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell this week. The Fed chair that said that downside risks to employment appear to have risen, implying that more rate cuts are ahead for the Federal Reserve and its benchmark Fed funds rate before the end of the year. Investors picking apart Powell's comments today, given the current lack of insight into the economy as the federal work stoppage has delayed the release of jobs reports and other key economic data. Treasury Secretary Bessent today raising hopes on the trade front, saying President Trump was still planning to meet with the Chinese leader later this month. The Treasury Secretary also floated extending a tariff pause, even as he slammed China's recent trade moves. Oh, yeah, gold and silver hitting record highs. Gold above 4,200 an ounce today, and silver has popped above 52 an ounce, blowing past the previous record high set back in 1980 earlier this week. A lot to talk about today on that. Also, Bitcoin usually seeing a strong month in the month of October, but not so far this month, as we see Bitcoin hovering at around 110,000, well off the recent all-time high of about 126,000 just about a month or so ago. And, of course, we're watching what's happening in the AI world and all the stocks associated with that, including the big one, NVIDIA, the magnificent one, the AI chip maker and rival to NVIDIA, AMD, back in focus, extending a recent upswing, jumping 8%, about 8% today. And all this happening since its recent multi-billion-dollar deal with OpenAI. Investor optimism over the company also boosted by a deal with Oracle to deploy 50,000 of AMD chips that came out earlier this week. And joining us live now, I'm delighted to say we have the biggest name in the world of tech analysis today, the one and only Dan Ives. Daniel Ives, Managing Director and Global Head of Tech Research at Wedbush Securities, based right here in the Los Angeles area. Dan Ives also the chairman of 8Co, a firm focused on acquiring WorldCoin and developing a proof-of-human verification system in the AI era. Also a world traveler. Dan Ives, thank you very much for taking the call this afternoon.
Great to be here, as always, Frank.
Wonderful to have you with us. Give us your reaction to the latest news here right out of the gate.
I mean, look, you're going to continue to see this U.S.-China war of words when it comes to tariffs. But, I think ultimately you're seeing cooler heads prevail. Trump and Xi are going to meet in a few weeks. I don't think this is really an escalation. And I think this parlays into earnings season where we're going to have just robust tech earnings. And I think that's a great scenario for tech stocks into year end.
All right, a lot to talk about here with AMD bursting on the scene here, and it's been on a tear this week, up again today. What do we need to know about all these deals surrounding AMD, and what's your outlook there?
I mean, Frank, AMD is one of our IVES AI 30, in our ETF. I mean, I believe, look, it's led when AI revolution is led by Godfather of AI, Jensen NVIDIA. So there's only one chip fueling AI revolution. But AMD is going to have a major seat at the table. And I think what you've seen with the OpenAI deal and more, they're just starting. I mean, I think as this stock gets re-rated, this has, potential 40, 50% upside in our opinion.
All right, NVIDIA recently hitting a record high and then bouncing around this week. What about NVIDIA here? Any adjustments on your target there?
Look, just like you're always going to be wearing a nice suit, NVIDIA is going to $5 trillion. I mean, I think those are, to me, look, Frank, the demand is still being massively underestimated in this tech boom. Some will call it bubble. I've covered tech stocks, going back to the 90s. I don't even compare the two. I mean, this is a real fourth industrial revolution, and it's being led by NVIDIA.
What about all this bubble talk? We're hearing more about that this week. What do you tell the folks who are talking bubble at this point?
I mean, the haters hate, right? I mean, they've missed every transformational tech stock the last 20 years, saying it's a bubble. And I believe this is a tech bull market that has 2 to 3 years more left in it as it all starts to play out. And it all comes down to demand and AI use cases. And that's exploding, and that's the focus.
And that's precise. I think we heard from the head of Microsoft's AI, head of cloud, predicting an explosion. That's the exact word he used of AI use. What do you see ahead for AI use and its practical uses for businesses and Mr. and Mrs. Southern California listening to you this afternoon?
Look, I mean, it's starting with enterprise. I mean, that's where the demand is exploding. But I believe it's going to change the way hospitals operate. It's going to change what we see on the road. And, in my view, 20% of cars are going to be autonomous. It's the world of humanoid robotics. I mean, these are all the things coming. And like I said, U.S. is in a massive position of strength when it comes to AI. It is an industrial revolution, but it's really being led by U.S. tech. And I'm not saying there's not going to be some job losses, but I'm a believer this is a net job creator when it's all said and done, what's happened in this country and the investment.
All right, what about Tesla? Is Tesla getting out of the car business, you think, at some point? What's your view on Tesla, which has been holding up quite well lately, up another 6 today to 435?
Right, there's still they sell cars, but they're an AI play because the future is about autonomous and robotics. I mean, that's ultimately where it's going for Tesla. And that's why I believe, in terms of physical AI plays, the two best out there, NVIDIA and Tesla. And this is a stock that's going to continue to re-rate higher, in my opinion, as it all plays out.
Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310-UCLA-WIN.
We are the Musers. On the pod so far, we've discussed people we love.
I didn't tell you guys. Cuban emailed.
What are you wearing?
Well, no, that's not.
Things we love.
Got way into typewriters.
How many typewriters do you own?
Let's not podcast anymore.
Just to
It's time to get really down and dirty.
These are great ideas. Start a podcast and then forget to promote it on social media.
So,
What is our podcast about? Yeah, whatever we feel like.
The Musers, the podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
On the live with Daniel Lives from Wedbush, and let's turn to the cryptos here for a moment. We saw that blowout on Friday for stocks as well as crypto, and Bitcoin took a hit along with the other names. Bitcoin right now at about 110, just shy of 111 here at the moment. What do you see happening now in the crypto space here?
I mean, we said 250K Bitcoin, right? I mean, that continues to be sort of the view where that's going. And you'll have these sell-offs, but it doesn't shake confidence. I just kind of view it as this is all a path going higher for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, especially as you see more and more institutional interest and a deregulatory environment.
AI security is something else. I see you've had some write-ups on. Your investment firm wants in on AI security. I saw that headline this past week.
Yep.
Tell us more about Orbs, AITCO company holdings, and what that company does, and what about AI security?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, and obviously, as chairman of Orbs, what we're really focused on is human proof authentication. And I believe the future, a lot of that is going to be, it's going to be through iris scanning. I mean, you're going to have to be able to tell what's a bot, what's a robot, what's fake, even anyone that's in social media, right? Is it a real person? Is it a bot? In our view, is the enterprise companies are going to need this as a pain point in terms of where the future is going. So, we launched an enterprise initiative. We think we're going to get a lot of pilot partnerships going. And I think it just speaks to this new world, right? Like, a new world's being created. It's trying to figure out what are the technologies, what are the winners in terms of how the individual could benefit. Because you can't fight it, right? It's coming in terms of AI. And that's very bullish for overall stocks.
When people first hear about this, and you mentioned it already, you're developing a proof of human verification system for the AI era. That is really something. And maybe explain that for us. Is it a device or what is it that looks into your eyes, or how does it work to prove that you're dealing with a human being?
Yeah. So it's a device. It's an orb device. It's all private. So basically, you scan your eyes into it, and then that iris data goes right into your phone, right onto your app. It disappears from the actual orb, the way that it's actually taken. So it's really a vault because everyone has an individual iris. So there's no way to fake that. The view is going forward with bots and robots and so many different changes, you're not just going to need a password, a two-factor authentication, even ID. This is really going to be, I think, the single sign-on for an AI future.
On there live with Dan Ives, and also a lot of concern about how kids interact with AI. Tell us your view about that component. Of course, kids and even adults don't even know if they're talking to a robot or a real person. How does your technology help in addressing those concerns?
It's a huge issue. The tech platforms are going to have to put guardrails in themselves. They're going to need to make sure that it's protected. But it's not really going to be government. I mean, you've seen some stuff with Newsom in California. Look, I'm a big fan of, government needs to be less involved, not more involved. Government becoming involved, it's hard to see good things happening from people still walking around with Blackberries. So I think a lot of this is really going to be self-regulation, and I think that's the reality.
On the live with Dan Ives. At this point, Dan Ives, any specific places where you are putting money now and or taking it off the table?
There's three places you put money right now. It's tech, it's crypto, it's gold. That's it. I mean, that's where you focus. And, you know, in terms of the path, I still believe we're in the second inning of this AI revolution.
We've heard you say tech, tech, tech. Now you've changed it to tech, crypto, and gold. Did you ever think you'd be saying gold, given the tremendous ramp? And look at silver, about 52 an ounce here today.
Yeah, look, it's just a reality. I mean, always been a gold bull, but this is essentially where it's going, right? And tech continues to be the top priority. But for those that want to, you know, invest just a little outside tech, that's what you focus on. But you don't buy value stocks in the right lane, going 45 miles an hour in a minivan with a bumper sticker saying my kid was an honor student in third grade.
Terrific. Well, Dan, last time we spoke, it sounded like you were right next door. It sounds like you might be a little bit farther away today. You're a world traveler. Can you tell us where you are right now?
I'm in Jakarta, Indonesia. Spoke at the Forbes CEO conference. With a lot of leaders from around the world. And the thing is, I mean, I travel around the world. I'll be in Asia for 3 weeks. That's how you see what demand is. You don't see it from your office building in New York City.
See it tonight, read about it tomorrow, but hear it now on Mottek On Money, live on the air with Daniel Ives from Jakarta, Indonesia. What was your message to the Forbes conference there today?
It's 10:30 p.m. in this party that goes to 4 a.m. Don't miss it from looking outside the window.
Daniel Ives, thank you very much for taking the call live with us wherever you are around the world. You're terrific. Thank you very much for joining us live here in Los Angeles. Mottek On Money on 790 KABC. Dan, have a wonderful evening, and look forward to speaking with you again soon. That is Daniel Ives. Yep, the top tech analyst at Wedbush Securities, managing director and global head of tech research at Wedbush, based right here in the Los Angeles area. Live on Mottek On Money on 790 KABC. All right, Mottek On Money continues, 790 KABC. Mixed finish for stocks today with the Dow down 17 points at 46,253. The S&P 500 managed a closing gain of 27 at 6671. The NASDAQ of 148 today at 22,670. The volatility index, which has been all over the place lately, pulling back slightly today, down by 1%. The yield on the 10-year note, and that's the one that impacts the fixed rate mortgage rates out there, has been hovering around 4% lately, today at 4.03%. Checking out how the dollar's doing overseas, we're at 116 versus the euro. We're at 151 against the Japanese yen, 134 against the British pound sterling. Silver and gold shining again today, with gold at a record high right now of $23 at $4,224.80 an ounce. Yep, record highs for gold again today. Silver has popped $1.15 to $52.53 an ounce. Yep, you heard me. Silver blew past 50 an ounce earlier this week, blowing past the previous record high set back in 1980. And we're at $52.53 here at the moment. And platinum shining as well. What a year for platinum, at more than $6 now. It's $1,694.10 an ounce. Taking a look at the cryptos, they've been sluggish lately. We see a Bitcoin down about 600, back to 110,715 here at the moment. ETH, Ethereum up 12 at 39.76, back below 4K. Solana at 193, and Doge at the moment at 19 cents. Taking a look at some of the high flyers now, we see the magnificent one, NVIDIA, pulling back 20 cents at 179.83. Oracle up nearly 5 at 303.62. AMD, which has gotten quite a pop lately, up another 20.51 today at 238.60. The latest news there on AMD is that basically it's extended its rally today, jumping higher. The AI chip maker and rival to NVIDIA has been getting a lot of confidence on Wall Street lately. After this big deal involving OpenAI, investor optimism over the company also boosted by a deal with Oracle to deploy 50,000 of its graphics processing units, known as GPUs or AI chips, that was announced earlier this week. And we see Oracle stock also in on the rally today. Tesla moving up nearly 6 at 435 and change. And Orbs, 8Co company, down 42 cents today at 943. And now the latest news on 790 KBC. Mottek On Money continues here, 790 KBC. For millions of people, today is tax day, October 15th. For anyone that filed for an extension, and because of the disaster area, looks like folks, many people here in this area were automatically eligible for the extension, which is today, October 15th. The federal and state tax filing deadline. Also, the government shutdown continues with no end in sight. An expert on all of this is joining us live now, and that is the one and only Grover Norquist, the president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, thanks very much for coming to the line here on October 15th.
Absolutely. Good to be with you.
Yeah, usually it's April 15th. Tell us what we need to know. It looks like about 20 million people are facing this deadline today at midnight, October 15th.
Well, just get it in on time. You can always adjust it if you have to. We still have a government that is technically not funded. Much of it is not funded. Social Security self-funds, Medicare self-funds. The Republicans are trying a new tack. They've had 6, 7, 8 votes to keep the government open, to keep it going on an even keel, no changes. And we think we've now got 3, 4, as many as 5 Democrats voting for it, but it takes 8. So that a couple of more moderate Democrats or Democrats who are in states that don't appreciate the decisions by some of the more left of center Democrat leaders.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.
Everyone knows the legend of D.B. Cooper, but what if I told you there's an even better story out there? One with multiple aircraft hijackings, prison escapes, and so many twists and turns. I'm talking about the hit podcast, American Skyjacker, which is now an action-packed documentary coming to theaters and streaming this fall. Find out more at www.americanskyjacker.com and listen to the bonus episode of the podcast on October 7th. American Skyjacker. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Fetterman of Pennsylvania has been voting with the Republicans to keep the government open and moving forward. So right now, there keep being those votes. Now, the Republicans were prepared to do a normal set of budgets, which is where you do the budget for the Defense Department, the House, the Senate, and they get together and talk about it, and then they vote it up in both houses. It goes to the president. Then you do Veterans Affairs and Agriculture and all the different departments. So like 12 or 13 departments that you vote on. The Republicans had 3 or 4 of the big ones pretty much done. The president was really pushing hard to try and get everything done before the deadline, but the Democrats weren't particularly helpful in the committees. But now I think the Republicans, the stated position is they're going to bring the defense budget up in the Senate and then in the House, and Republicans and Democrats can vote yes or no on funding defense. They're not arguing about some other topic. They're not arguing about, food stamps for illegal aliens or any of those things. Just, do you want to fund the Defense Department? Do you want to fund Veterans Affairs? Those things. That may be how we put the government back together again, piece by piece.
What about the judge's ruling today temporarily blocking the Trump administration from firing workers during the government shutdown? What do we need to know about that?
Well, the challenge there is that a lot of different judges from around the country can do that. And what we've been hoping for is a decision by the Supreme Court, and I think they're sort of getting there, but I don't think it's been final, that says there are, 300 circuit courts, many. And all they have to do is go find one who says, I think it's unconstitutional, from San Francisco.
Yeah.
But that doesn't say, this judge says you can't do this in San Francisco. He says, I say the whole country can't do it. So you have the most extreme judges delaying things for the whole country. Now, eventually we go back and they'll look at it and say, well, that judge was right or that judge was wrong. But the whole country waits because one guy. I know one of the things that serious judges and legal people are saying is, if some guy in San Francisco says, I don't like this, I say no, they go, okay, in San Francisco, where you represent that district, it won't happen. But you can't block it in the whole country. And then you speed it up and bring it to the circuit courts and then to the Supreme Court. And then you get one set of rules for the whole country. And what has happened in the past is opponents of the administration, Republicans and Democrats in the past, would find somebody who opposes the sitting president, and they'd go find the most conservative or the most liberal judge and says, I agree with you, and that would slow everything down. It doesn't mean that it stops it, but it did slow everything down. And it's probably not a good idea to use that as a tactic. So every conservative I know says, no, a judge should be able to say yes or no in their district, but not restrict things across the country. And that's what it appears to be with that guy here. So yes, some judge said no, but that doesn't mean anything. We'll see what the Supreme Court says.
Yep. Just to add some more information about this. Apparently the judge involved in this situation, you're right, she is in San Francisco. It's U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston in San Francisco, according to the AP, repeatedly pressing the assistant U.S. attorney today to explain the administration's rationale for more than 4,100 layoff notices that started going out on Friday, even though the furloughed workers cannot access their work emails and there are no human resources specialists to assist with next steps. That was something mentioned during the hearing. The federal judge today temporarily blocking the president's administration from firing workers during the current government shutdown, saying the cuts appear to be politically motivated and were being carried out without much thought, according to that San Francisco judge. No comment from the White House on this. They referred the AP to the Office of Management and Budget. Looks like the case here brought by various federal employee unions, saying the firings were an abuse of power designed to punish workers and pressure Congress. Who do you think is going to win this battle?
Well, at the end of the day, the president should have the right to fire anybody who works for the executive branch. In the same way, every congressman can fire everybody in his office or her office for any reason they want. Okay, you don't have the other people to say, "Oh no, we're going to sit over your shoulder and watch your decision." Judges hire and fire people who work for judges. The president runs the executive branch. There is no agriculture department in the Constitution. There's no EPA in the Constitution. There's nothing even allowing the federal government to set up independent bodies, independent of the president. And the courts have begun to rule that some of these committees that were supposed to be set up as independent agencies, this will be independent of the president and Congress and everybody else. Well, you can't do that under the Constitution. Show me where the Constitution says you can set up a co-equal branch of government that's as powerful as the president, the Supreme Court, or the Congress, and that hires and fires itself. The Democrats set up one of those bodies to regulate banks and have it self-funded. They steal their own money. They don't even use the IRS. They take their own money. This is nowhere allowed by the Constitution. It's not justifiable. So the Democrats over time realized they were losing the presidency more often than they'd like. Then they started losing the House and the Senate more often than they'd like. Then they lost the Constitution, the Supreme Court more often than they'd like. So they're trying to stick all the power in the hands of the bureaucrats and say, no, you can't touch them. These people have jobs that they can keep for 30 years and they make all the decisions. But there's nothing in the Constitution that allows that. So over time, we will move in the direction of, now, if the president fires somebody willy-nilly, that's a reason to vote him out. If the president fires people for bad reasons, then vote him out. It's his responsibility. So it's not like the president's getting away with something. It's the president being held responsible. Right now, there are a couple of million people who run around doing stuff, and the president isn't technically responsible for what they do. That's crazy.
On the live with Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. Mentioned at the beginning, October 15th is the tax extension deadline, so some people will be up late tonight getting their taxes together before midnight. It's also October 15th, and we're told that today is a payday for the military. Did the military people get their paychecks today? What, about $6.5 billion the administration was looking for to cover this week's military payroll. What's the latest on that and the outlook for the great military people looking for a paycheck today?
Well, I know the president was looking to fix that problem, and I assume he did, or we'd have heard about it bouncing around, because he was quite convinced he would be able to do that. I will see it on the late night tonight or tomorrow morning in the newspaper, but I know he was going to move heaven and earth to make sure that took place.
Yeah. Grover, thank you very much for that thorough assessment. As always, we appreciate it and wish you a happy October 15th, the tax deadline day today here for those who need it or got an extension, or in the case of disaster victims here, of course, it was essential that happened. Grover, thank you very much for taking the call live with us here this afternoon.
Oh, absolutely. Good to be with you.
Thank you very much. Grover Norquist, the president of Americans for Tax Reform, America's leading taxpayer advocate, live with us here on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. Mottek On Money continues here, 790 KBC. Gorgeous afternoon here in Southern California. 24 hours ago, the weather was the big story. The wettest October day since 1934 in Los Angeles. Can you believe it? Let's celebrate now by having some fun here today. Looks like we're in the clear for quite some time. We're gonna get the authority on this here in just a moment. I like to jokingly say we have economists to make meteorologists look good, but always looking good, and most importantly for us, sounding good. The one and only Fritz Coleman. You may remember Fritz Coleman on television, of course, a famous meteorologist here, 5-time Emmy Award-winning meteorologist, stand-up comedian too. He MCs a lot of events, and it's always great to be at an event where he's present. He's opened all over pretty much the world for, folks like Jay Leno, who I love, Ray Charles even, Debbie Reynolds, George Benson, and the list goes on. Fritz Coleman also celebrating now 2 years of sold-out performances for his hit one-man show, Unassisted Residency, this month. Fritz Coleman, thanks for joining us live here this afternoon.
It's the great Frank Mottek, voice of Zeus, the greatest voice in broadcasting. Frank, it's been a long time since I've seen you. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
And it's been a while since we chatted behind live microphones. Fritz Coleman live with us here on the air on 790 KBC. Fritz, congratulations on your tremendous success. You, of course, are the total professional on the air always and on stage. And first of all, how's the weather?
You know what? I have relinquished my license. I'd rather not venture a guess as to the weather. People come up to me all the time, in Bob's Big Boy or the gas station. They say, so what about this storm? And I say, sir, please check your phone and don't ask me anymore. So, I am out of the loop, but I'm sitting back here appreciating the weather like other citizens do, and I'm loving it. It's a beautiful day today. We needed that rain yesterday. I was sorry for the momentary mudslides, but it's a beautiful day today, Frank.
It really is, and it's so wonderful to have you with us here. Tell us about your what you're doing these days and your sold-out performances.
Yes. Well, I have a residency at the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood. It's a famous old theater. that celebrates its 100th birthday this year. There's some wonderful history in this theater. People that live in North Hollywood know the lure behind it, but it used to be a vaudeville stage. And in the old days, Bob Hope and Red Buttons and all the great vaudevillians would perform there. Then it became a movie palace where they showed movies. And when she was 10 years old, Debbie Reynolds used to ride her bike to the El Portal Theater and watch movies. And then when she got older and had her own act, she would try out her act before she went to Vegas at the El Portal. So all that to say, there's just amazing history involved in that theater. I love it. And we're celebrating our second anniversary doing this residency on Sunday, October 26th at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The name of the show is Unassisted Living. It's for people of a certain age. There are no politics, Frank. We don't get into any politics. We don't remind anybody of the darkness that goes on outside the theater. We just sort of remind people of the common experience of getting older, and I'm having so much fun with it. It's just a blast. If you have a Medicare card in your wallet, you need to come and see this show.
There's no old on this show, by the way. It's young and young at heart. On the Air Live with the one and only Fritz Coleman. That sounds absolutely fantastic. And, of course, you and I remember and honor the days when comedy was funny. And it sounds like it still is with you, Fritz Coleman. You worked with some of the best.
Yes. Well, yes, it's interesting that you mentioned that. And it was really the reason why people love to come to this show, even more than once, twice or three times even, because we don't assault you with raw material. It's adult, but it's not raw. The language isn't off the chain. It's just me having some reviewers said Fritz Coleman is the voice of the Metamucil generation. So I'm just having fun. Rather than doing comedy that separates us or reminds us of how different we are, the us and them concept that we seem to be living through right now. This is just the common experience that we all go through when we get old. And at the end of the night, people feel closer to the neighbors in the show because everybody goes through exactly the same thing.
That's absolutely wonderful. And of course, since I've been here, I know you from being on the air on television and then, comedy too. Have you always done both?
Well, I'll tell you, I got my job doing the weather at Channel 4 from doing stand-up. In 1982, I was performing stand-up at the Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard.
Wow. And
the news director from Channel 4, you may remember this guy, Frank, Steve Antonetti, lovely guy, one of the nicest people I've ever worked for. I was on stage, and then I went backstage to meet him because he was there with a friend of mine. And I had talked on stage about having done the weather in the Navy because I worked for Armed Forces Radio and Television in the Navy. But the hook was I didn't know anything about the weather, but they still wanted me to do the weather. So after the show, this is an absolutely true story, and regal meteorologists hate this story. But he said to me, do you have any desire to come to Channel 4 and do some vacation relief weather forecasting for me? I need some help on the weekends. My main weatherman, my weekday weatherman, who was Kevin O'Connell at the time, who took Pat Sajak's place. Anyway, he hasn't had a vacation in a year. I need some help. Would you have any desire to do that? And I was making $25 a night at the Comedy Store, and I almost passed out. I said, well, when do you want me to start? He said, well, you have to audition. So I auditioned the following week. I got this vacation relief fill-in position, and I did that for 2 years. Then Kevin, my predecessor, left. I was bumped up to the main job, and I retired 2 weeks shy of my 40th anniversary at Channel 4. I always tell people it was the greatest stroke of show business luck since that woman was discovered at Schwab's Pharmacy in the 40s.
That is a great story, and appreciate you sharing that. That is absolutely fantastic, Fritz Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely fantastic. And gosh, before I let you off the hook, for anyone that's just tuning in, tell us where people can get tickets for your show at the El Portal, and then give us that great information again, please.
I appreciate you allowing me to tell people about it, Frank. Our next show is Sunday, October 26th. They're at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a matinee show because I found that my demographic likes to be home by dark. So it'll be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sunday, October 26th. And please come to that show because it's our second anniversary. And I don't know, there may be free baked goods for everybody. Our next show after that, it's a great way to start your holiday, would be Sunday, November 30th at 3 in the afternoon. So I'd love to see you. I stand out in the lobby and meet everybody after the show. I'd love to shake your hand, hear your stories about the weather or anything else in broadcasting, and I hope to see you there. Go to El Portal Theater, and theater is spelled Theaartre, the formal way, elportaltheater.com for tickets.
That is really, really terrific. Well, if you need a voice of Zeus there or whatever you called me earlier, I'd be an honor to...
You're one of the great broadcasters. The last time I saw you, I think, was at a Golden Mike Award, and we were commiserating about the length of the evening from the back of the room.
Must have been. Could only be. Absolutely. Well, Fritz, thank you very much. Fantastic to speak with you. Hope to speak with you again and see you over there. Congratulations on your...
I can't thank you enough, Frank. Can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do the weather now, by the way. Mostly sunny today. Beautiful. Right now, 65 degrees in Culver City. Fritz, thank you very much for joining us. Stay tuned now for the 790 KBC News Blitz with Randy Wang, and I'll be back with more at 4 tomorrow afternoon right here. Mottek On Money, 790 KBC.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.